Human experiments, forced drug use, abductions, and torture. It was all part of MKUltra, the CIA's program to master the art of mind control. And thanks to newly declassified documents, we know a whole lot more about one of the most twisted periods in the agency's history.
The CIA conducted terrifying experiments using drugs, hypnosis, isolation, sensory deprivation, and other extreme techniques on human subjects, often U.S. citizens, who frequently had no idea what was being done to them or that they were part of a CIA test.
Over 1,200 records have come forward 50 years after New York Times journalist Seymour Hersh got the ball rolling in exposing MKUltra's abuses. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, agents abducted people from drug addicts to soldiers and even children, depriving them of sleep, exposing them to radiation, administering electric shocks to them, and forcing them to take LSD. All with the help of nearly 2,000 Nazi scientists who the government recruited for their know-how on human experimentation gained from working in concentration camps.
The CIA mind control project, MKUltra, was essentially a continuation of work that began in Japanese and Nazi concentration camps. Not only was it roughly based on those experiments, but the CIA actually hired the vivisectionists and the torturers who had worked in Japan and in Nazi concentration camps to come and explain what they had found out so that we could build on their research.
Take Project Bluebird, one of MKUltra's associated schemes, which used drugs and hypnotism to maximize the effectiveness of interrogations.
The purpose of this project is to provide for the immediate establishment of interrogation teams for the operational support of Office of Special Operations and Office of Policy Coordination activities. The teams will utilize the polygraph, drugs, and hypnotism to attain the greatest results in interrogation techniques.
Another report talks about so-called artichoke methods, which combined narcosis and hypnosis under the cover of being psychiatric medical examinations. These measures were aimed at inducing regression and amnesia in alleged Russian agents suspected of being doubled. Then there were what the documents describe as auxiliary animal testing laboratories, where prisoners were given large amounts of LSD to see how much the human body could handle. These experiments weren't just confined to the United States either. A number of people went through the doors of the Royal Victoria Hospital in Montreal looking to become patients, but unwittingly becoming test subjects.
I thought, how could he possibly ever take me for a patient? Who am I? I mean, this great man who's done all these marvelous things. You know, I don't want to lose this opportunity to get well.
They kept you asleep for 23 days. And while I was asleep, they were shocking the heck out of me with electric shocks.
One of the victims was forcibly brainwashed as part of these experiments, and his daughter, Julie Tanny, became the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit against the U.S. and Canadian governments.
What they did was, as soon as he was admitted to the hospital, they immediately put him on insulin. My father was not a diabetic. I know that the insulin put him in a coma. It was part of the sleep treatment where they put him to sleep, and after it he was interviewed by the psychiatrist. Then they would take clips of some of the things he said and run them on a tape, 24/7 under his pillow. It would be going around nonstop in his head, brainwashing him basically. But what they would do was they would give him shock treatments, but not the regular shock treatments they give today. These are called Page Russells. It was a machine invented by a Mr. Page and Mr. Russell. It was about 75 times the strength of a regular shock treatment. It was designed to wipe out the brain, and the tape was to replace it with different thoughts.
Tanny's lawsuit was far from the only one that followed MKUltra's implementation, with the program's chief Sidney Gottlieb eventually confronted about his involvement in another case. And oh, did he try to dance around the fact of his responsibility.
If by what you mean field experimentations is experiments that are taking place outside of Washington, D.C., and if by my personal involvement you mean was I aware of them or did I have something to do with their instigation, the answer is yes.
Gottlieb later admitted that he was involved in up to 5 interrogations, although he denied that the CIA was trying to improve its techniques. But the program's directors ordered the destruction of all associated files after its official end in 1973. So it's still not clear just how much we still don't know about MKUltra, or even if the program was ever truly terminated.